Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open Psalm 9. But I want you to forget everything you think you know about Psalms for a minute. What if this wasn't just a poem? What if it's, I don't know, a movie script? An absolutely epic story about justice, praise, and a fight for the very soul of humanity. Let's jump in and see this story unfold.
So here's our opening shot. This isn't just a story. It's an ancient song about cosmic justice, a real battle for what's right. And it's a story written in two things: total, all-out praise and fire. Yeah, the stakes, they're absolutely as high as they get.
All right, so Act 1. You might think a story like this would start with a big battle, right? But no. Our whole story kicks off with something way more personal. It starts with an explosive, all-out declaration of praise from our main character, David.
Okay, verse 1. This is our opening line. And listen, this is no quiet, whispered prayer. David says he's going to praise with his whole heart. So picture this. David, this warrior king, he's standing alone on a huge hill, and he is just shouting his praise to God. I mean, so loud that you can almost see the words flying out of his mouth and exploding in the sky like fireworks. That's the kind of energy we're starting with.
Now let's go to verse 2, because this feeling just gets bigger. That outward shout, it's totally matched by what's happening on the inside. He says, "I will be glad and rejoice in you." So imagine we can zoom in right past his armor and see his heart, and it's literally glowing. Just this bright, warm light pulsing inside his chest with pure joy. It's awesome.
Okay, so verse 3. This is where we get our first look at the conflict. But here's the twist. David says when his enemies turn back, they fall because of God's presence. It's not about David's army. So let's picture this. A bunch of shadowy figures are charging, and they don't hit a wall of shields. They hit an invisible wall of pure light, and poof, they just disintegrate into dust. The real power here is something else entirely.
And that leads us right into our next scene. The camera pulls way back. David stops his personal praise, and now he's making his case. But it feels like we're in some kind of cosmic courtroom. The scale just got way, way bigger.
So check out verse 4. This is why those enemies just fell apart. God isn't just a king up there. He's a judge on the throne. And to really get this, imagine a throne carved out of a mountain. A figure of pure authority sits there. And when he brings down the gavel, well, it's made of lightning. And with every strike, you see these waves of pure justice and order just ripple out through the entire cosmos. Whoa!
Verse 5 shows us just how final this judgment is. It says God has blotted out their name forever and ever. So for this, picture a gigantic ancient book, right? It has every name ever written in it. And then a hand made of fire just appears and sweeps across the page. It doesn't erase the names of the wicked, it incinerates them. All that's left is a smoldering black scorch mark. Gone. Forever.
And in verse 6, we see what this judgment looks like on the ground. You see these enemy cities? They were strong, defiant, huge walls, tall towers. But after the judgment, total ruin. I mean, picture a time-lapse video. You see this proud city just crumble into dust, and then a massive gust of wind comes and blows every last particle away until there's just nothing. It's like it was never even there. Even the memory of it is gone. But then, verse 7, this is so important. As the dust from that city we just saw get wiped out finally settles, what's left? What do we see? It's that throne. The judge's throne. From a few verses ago, it's completely untouched, permanent, solid. It was there before the city, and it's there long, long after. It's the one thing that endures forever.
And verse 8 just blows the whole thing wide open. This judgment, it's not just for David's enemies, it's for the whole world. So picture a set of glowing, perfectly balanced scales, and they're being held right over a spinning globe. They're not just weighing things, they are literally bringing the entire planet into perfect, righteous alignment. That's the idea here.
Okay, so deep breath. After all that massive, cosmic-level drama, the story suddenly shifts gears. The camera zooms way, way in. We're asking a new question now. What does all this mean for the little guy? You know, the vulnerable, the oppressed, the people who are just trying to survive the storm.
Verse 9 gives us the answer in one powerful word: refuge. And that means a high fortress, an unbreachable stronghold. To really feel it, imagine someone is running for their life, caught in a terrible storm. They're about to give up when suddenly this massive, shining fortress just erupts out of the ground in front of them, and the gates swing wide open.
That's a refuge in times of trouble. So who gets into this fortress? Verse 10 tells us it's those who know your name. See, knowing God's name, his character, is what leads to trust. It's cause and effect. So imagine these people are walking towards the fortress in total darkness, right? But with every single step they take, the path just ahead of them lights up, showing them the way. It's this visual promise that they haven't been abandoned.
Now, once you're safe inside, verse 11 says you've got a job to do. It's not enough to just be safe and quiet. You have to tell people what happened. So let's picture the people inside that fortress singing, but their songs aren't just sound. They are visible waves of light pouring out from the fortress walls, spreading the news to the whole world.
And verse 12. Wow, this is such a beautiful promise. It says God remembers. He doesn't forget the cry of the humble. So here's the visual for that. A single tear falls from the eye of someone who is suffering. But when it hits the ground, it doesn't just disappear. It glows. And it sends this beam of light straight up into the heavens, a signal that absolutely cannot be missed. No cry is ever lost.
And just when we think we've got the whole story figured out, boom, it takes a hard right turn. It gets intensely personal. All that grand cosmic stuff, it suddenly becomes about one person, in one terrifying moment.
Verse 13, have mercy on me, O Lord. It's a question. And that camera that was showing us galaxies and thrones, it just crash zooms all the way down to David. And he's not on a hill praising anymore. He is trapped. He's caught between these two huge, dark, scary gates, and you can see the name carved over them, death. This is it. This is his crisis.
But why does he want to be saved? Verse 14 gives us his motivation, and it's so important. It's not just about survival. He says he wants to be saved so that he can tell everyone about God's praise. He wants to get out of the gates of death so he can stand at the gates of Zion and tell his story. So picture him literally being lifted up and out of that darkness and being set down right in front of the beautiful sun-drenched gates of a happy city ready to speak.
Okay, here we are, the climax of the whole story. David's been rescued, and now he makes one final powerful appeal. He wants everyone, especially the powerful nations, to finally understand how things really work.
So verses 15 and 16 lay out this perfect, almost cosmic irony. The wicked nations, they dig a pit, they hide a net in it, and what happens? They fall into their own trap. Their own foot gets caught. It's like one of those old cartoons, you know? The bad guy sets this elaborate trap, laughs about it, and then immediately steps right into it himself. That's the picture here. Evil defeats itself.
And verses 17 and 18, they give us the great reversal. It's a huge promise. The wicked are headed for ruin, but the needy and the poor, they will not be forgotten forever. Let's see this as a split screen. On one side, a fancy golden throne just crumbles into darkness. But on the other side, a poor person's simple wooden bowl starts to glow, and it overflows with light. It's a total flip, a divine correction of the way things are.
And now for verse 19. This is the final dramatic shout. Arise, O Lord, do not let man prevail. It's David's last appeal. And as he shouts this to the sky, imagine that same throne of judgment from the beginning of our story just materializing in the clouds right above the heads of all the world's leaders. A final reminder of who's really in charge. And that brings us to the very last line, the final lesson in verse 20. David's prayer is that the nations would finally know that they are just men. That's it. It's the ultimate reality check, a terrifying reminder for the most powerful people and nations on earth, that they are mortal, they are fragile, and in the grand scheme of things, they are small.
And that's where this whole story leaves us, with this really big question to chew on. What happens when we stop seeing justice as just a human system and start seeing it as a cosmic story? This psalm kind of reframes the whole thing. It gives us a righteous judge, a fortress in the storm, and a final certain outcome. It really challenges us to look past what's right in front of us and see the much, much bigger story of justice that's playing out.